Hope everybody's having a great day so far. Having a midday coffee. I'm trying to do my part to save the environment now that we know it can be turned into concrete and clothing. You can maybe save the world by having a cup of coffee. One thing to think about. Anyway, we're going to build on our positive eco news. Today, we have an amazing one. Today, at the very end, we are going to discuss there is an environmental cure for cancers, which actually is the same thing as the cure for environmental cancers. It's a beautiful thing. Now, as many of you know, and I've been very open about it, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2005. And since then, I've had over 13 surgeries. I have been through multiple rounds of experimental chemo, radiation, just straight up radiation, once on my head, once on my tailbone. Once you're radiated, you can't go back. And both of those tumors have grown back. And currently, I haven't really talked much about it, but I don't know if you guys can see it. I have a lump that's growing right here, and it's a new tumor. So we don't know what it is yet. We don't know if it's lymphatic, not lymphatic. We don't know what the tumor is. But the point of it is, cancer, when you have it, it never ends. People that even go into remission are afraid of going into remission. Now, the problem with all of this is that in our modern world, cancer rates are being now indexed at the following numbers. One study says that 1 in 3 people will get cancer in their lifetime. A more recent study says that 1 in 2 will get cancer in their lifetime. Now, what does that mean? That means that when you sit down at dinner tonight and you look at your family, count how many people are there, and imagine if 1 in 2 of them had cancer that you're sitting there with. It's one way to visualize what's going on in our country. Now, cancer is out of control. There's actually been a new study that shows that environmental cancers are 80 to 90% of new cancer diagnosis. Now, the news that we've heard about that everybody's repeating that is absolutely false is that more people are surviving cancer than ever before. Now, this is a twist. So, okay, we usually talk about positive eco news. I want to talk about this because I think this is a lie. And the reason I say that is because more people are surviving it because there are more environmental hybrid cancers that are showing up. We know it's 80 to 90%. We know 1 in 2 or 1 in 3 people are getting it. And we know that they're not the cancers that straight out kill you, like a colon cancer, a lung cancer. These are other kinds of weird cancers. And as we always say with cancer, you're either handed a life sentence or a death sentence. Sometimes they're the same thing. For me, it's been over 20 years of battling cancer. And so mine is a life sentence, and I am not complaining because it allows me to go out and start investigating other things, which is what I wanted to bring us to today. We are very devoted to bringing the voice of people that are suffering from cancer, or people that have loved ones that suffered from cancer, or friends that suffered from cancer. And we're trying to create stories that are going to bring that into the light. Us cancer patients generally don't have a voice. We don't have a place in society. We're not part of the cancer conversation. You ever notice that? Who's part of it? A bunch of people that tell you that they had a friend that once smoked cigarettes and never got cancer. Those are people that are in on the conversation. You've got all the other people telling the doctors telling you what's going on. We're not allowed to speak. We're not allowed to have a place, and we don't have a voice, and we deserve it. And it is our experience. And we are trying to stop other people from going through it. And, that's why we did phosphate. It's why we continue to push phosphate. It's free on Tubi. We're not doing it to make money. We're doing it to educate people that the way things are running is killing us. And we don't want to pay the price for another company's profits any longer. So to talk about this new solution and how we can actually cure environmental cancers, let's just start back and talk about cancer for a few minutes. Because what is it, right? It's a big, scary word. The minute you hear it, you know that nothing good can come of this, right? So what happens now? Cancer is not as new as we would imagine. Cancer is really old. It's so old that Hippocrates actually named cancer. Now, you guys might, if you're not sure who Hippocrates is, everyone knows the Hippocratic Oath that doctors take. That is from Hippocrates. And he was one of the first sort of medical researchers in the Greek age. Now, cancer comes from the Greek word carcinoma, which we now call carcinoma, which is actually the word for crab, because tumors look like crabs. And they have the thing, and then they have the little legs that come out on the sides. They reach out. So that's the origin of the word cancer. So it is a very old problem. Cancer is not a new thing. Environmental cancers are a new thing. They have not been around as much. When you hear people talking about, when I grew up, one person in the family had cancer, and now it seems like everyone does. It's because it's true. And we're going to get into that in a second. Why are we getting so much new cancer? What is happening? First, I just wanted to share with everybody a quick glimpse of Sierra and my new project called Cancer Alley. And this is a place where it is an amazing example of how people's health is completely sold out for industry.
Cancer Alley, and residents whose ancestors have lived here for generations are now fighting for clean air.
My grandfather had died of cancer. I had a brother that just recently died in 2020. He died of cancer as well. I mean, there's a lot of stories I could go on and tell you. There's a lot of people that died of cancer that I know, and Cancer Alley is very, very much real.
The community's suffering on a daily basis. People are going to continue to suffer year after year after year.
How do you fix a problem nobody believes exists?
EPA, you need to start doing your job. And if you gotta shut them down, shut them down. Point blank. But I don't want the United States to be a whole Cancer Alley.
I can't even tell you how hard it was to go to this place and see these people being poisoned. It's like a very concentrated version of what's happening in the whole country. And this is the thing, is nobody is exempt from this. We've all learned that there is PFAS everywhere, which we know is an endocrine disruptor and a cancer causer. Now, here's the thing. I found this amazing list that I wanted to share with everybody of what's going on here in the cancer. So what we have is a list of, now this is, let me adjust these real fast and we can take a look at these. What this is American Cancer Society, which we know has some issues and questions, but here is known and probable human carcinogens. Why is there so much cancer right now? Let's take a look. Now, this is a very tricky thing. This is often designations used by multiple corporations to avoid any kind of prosecution for poisoning us. Now, these are known human carcinogens. What this means is that these, we know, will give us cancer, and carcinogens will also create other chronic illnesses. Now, there might be some that you recognize. For example, there's aluminum production. Aluminum byproducts, as well as aluminum itself, no good for us. Benzene, which many people that work in environmental quality already know about and talk about quite a bit. There is coal, all kinds of issues that comes from the coal industry. There is, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff. There's the T-cell, which we know is having some issues currently. There's plutonium, phosphorus. There is radium, which we saw in Cancer Alley. We tested for radium-226 and 228 and found it in excessive levels all over the water. So these are, we know for a fact this is causing cancer. Tobacco, which they actually placed as a carcinogen in the 20s, although the industry pretended like they didn't know until it was much later and they had to pay back. Now, why do they do this? It's not because they're cruel. It's because they're cheap and they don't want to pay for their own poisoning of everybody, because the moment that they are identified as the cause, everyone can sue them. So instead, they play games and pretend that they don't even know that these things are bad for us. So there we have all those. We have probable carcinogens. And this list, as you can tell, is massive. So we have identified all of this. And if you can look, like for example, we already know that talc powder we grew up on. Talc powder is extremely cancerous and taken off of there. PVC is on this list. So we know that PVC, vinyl chloride, vinyl fluoride, vinyl bromide, anything with the vinyls is going to be a massive issue. So this list shows us that we already know we're living in a toxic world. What are we doing to stop it? Nothing. There are a few companies like the EPA and the other companies that are designed to work hand in hand with industry to allow them to continue poisoning us, making profits, and placating those of us that are getting sick by pretending like something's happening. All of us that are sick know that that's not the deal. And if you don't know that, take it from us cancer people. There's nobody in charge. Nobody's helping us. There are no adults in the room. Companies self-regulate, and they self-regulate for profit. They don't self-regulate for environmental health unless they're forced to. At the moment, nobody is forcing them to do anything. As a matter of fact, the EPA has walked back most of their protections that they've given. So with all of this in mind, it all sounds like bad news, but what we can do, here's what we can do. We have found that, but there has been a solution. Now, what we find is that in environmental world, we always talk about upstream and downstream solutions. Great example. The company that makes plastic nurdles, that is an upstream thing. And then as the use goes through, the downstream solution would be, say, a beach cleanup. That's a downstream solution. Stopping the nurdles from being produced is an upstream solution. If you're stopping it at the source, it's an upstream solution because you're dealing with an upstream problem. When the upstream problem enters into the environment, it can only be stopped with a downstream solution, such as a beach cleanup. Now, how many beach cleanups have solved the plastic problem? Right. There is no downstream solution. The only solution to stop environmental cancers is upstream. Stop it at the source. Stop allowing companies to kill us for profit. Simple. Turn the valve off. Make them do business differently. It's not impossible. It's not difficult. As a matter of fact, it can easily be done. Environmental cancer can be stopped easily. The business wouldn't be happy about it, but now we start to talk to people and they'll say, well, you should die so another company can make more profit, because companies shouldn't be restrained. So that's a whole other topic to get into. Companies being regulated. People don't like those words, but right now we're watching unregulated companies killing us in mass. Nobody's doing anything, and yet we have the solution. Turn the valve off. It's just that simple. So there we go. Nice and easy. So good news at the end of a lot of bad news. But this is why we have to keep talking about it. This is why we need to talk about it from a different perspective. We don't need to talk about what the EPA is doing. We need to talk about what the companies are doing, and we need to hold them responsible. And we need to force them to stop until they can prove that they can be reliable. Mosaic is killing people. They're poisoning people. These 150 petrochemical plants in Louisiana are killing people. This is a crime. It is criminal. And these companies should not have this immunity. We should demand more. We deserve it. And you know what? People don't like that we speak up about our problems. Well, guess what? We're trying to stop people that you love from going through what we've been through. And we're not going to stop doing that because no one understands how gnarly and how terrible it is to go through what we've been through. So, you can't even imagine the situation. So the best thing we can do is stop it. And you know what? The good news is it's easy to stop it. All we need is a little public pressure. So remember that. And when you start to talk to people about things, whether you're having a conversation with somebody about regulation, think about how a company that's not regulated and take a look at their pollution records. We don't have to convince you. The facts are all there. So there we go, everybody. A simple solution. All we have to do is shut the valve off. We created the problem. We can stop it. The only thing stopping us from stopping it is profit. So as soon as we can start to put people ahead of profit, and if our country can't do that, then, that's an even bigger problem. Because somebody who's had to pay the price for environmental pollution doesn't think it's worth it. So there we are, everybody. Keep an eye out. We're still promoting Phosphate. Go watch it free on Tubi. Keep up with us on Cancer Alley. We're going to be bringing that movie out. It'll be coming out this June. So we can't wait to share with you what we found down there. And we're starting a brand new investigation. And if you or your family members are being sick or getting sick from environmental pollution, please reach out to us, because our new project, we want to cover as many stories as we can, because it's not a pocket where it's happening. It's the entire country. It's actually the entire world, but we got to focus on fixing the country. We can't fix the whole world, but we can maybe try to limit the amount of toxic interaction that our bodies have with these chemicals, which at the moment is a very high percentage rate. All we have to do to stop people like me from having cancers like this, shut the valve off. So there we go. Simple solutions for complex problems. That's what we do when we have coffee and talk about the world's problems and solve them. So I would love to hear what everybody else thinks in regards to what's happening with these cancer rates. And there we have One Ocean, One Planet. At least one person at your dinner table will likely get cancer in their lifetime. Yes, that is a sobering thought. My personal family, I can count my family members. They don't even fill up both hands. And right now, there is about 40% of us that are facing different types of cancers that perhaps were caused by the environment. And it is very sobering, and it's very worrisome. And you know what? The thing about it is, it's not necessary. It can easily be solved. And this is what is so maddening, I feel, about it. And then, hey, Maxwell, thank you. Thank you for being on with us today. And thank you for bringing our attention to what happened yesterday. We're going to talk more about that, but it's more ways where companies are allowed to skirt laws in order to poison people, because poisoning means less mitigation of chemicals, which means less money spent by a company, which means more profit. By nature, their business is criminal because they're poisoning us and they know it. And yes, that was an incredibly long list that we have there. Again, and I recommend everybody go check it out. American Cancer Society. They are a kind of useless group. When I got cancer, all they did was send me a binder to put my things in. They do nothing but fundraise on the name. So if you do want to help people with cancer, I recommend don't help the American Cancer Society. They don't do anything. Go for more localized groups that can help local cancer patients get to their appointments, pay for their parking. You lose everything when you have cancer, and that's just the truth of it. So there are local groups that can help cancer patients deal with cancer. They're the ones you want to talk to. If you're not sure, let me know. Reach out to me. I'm more than happy to share a great list of amazing cancer helping companies. So there we are, everybody. We have solved environmental cancers today. They simply don't need to exist. They simply don't need to be here. And they simply can stop tomorrow. Boom. So everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember that. What happened yesterday does not define what will happen tomorrow. Yesterday's difficulties are not tomorrow's problems. We have solutions that have never been thought of, and we need to move forward. We need to change our thinking, and we need to progress, because where we are, nobody's happy with. So keep thinking about it. I love to hear your thoughts. Let me know more. Let me know how cancer has affected you guys. Let me know what you think we can do to make a change, because we're all in this together and we all need to get out of it together. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I love these morning talks. Thank you for joining, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow, where it won't be a surprise. We actually do have positive eco news tomorrow. Today, I just wanted to talk about cancer. I'm a little frustrated with my experience, and I'll share more with that later. But I just wanted to talk to everybody about this false thing that you're hearing, that cancer somehow is in a decline because there's less people dying of it. That is a manipulation of facts, and that is not true. And the fact that more people are living with cancer is a problem just as well. All right, so there we go. Thank you for letting me share with you some of my frustration, some of my viewpoints as a cancer patient. And as we continue and as I go through, first of all, we don't even know exactly what kind of cancer this is. So as we go through this cancer process, I want to include everybody so that people can get a better sense of what it's truly like to do this. And hopefully none of you can relate to what I'm saying. Love you all. Have a